Good evening, everyone. This is Spencer Keck coming at you live from the Hillbilly Think Tank. And I want to say it is the end, if you don't know it, of the world as we know it when it comes to the Affordable Care Act. So, what do we think about that? So, put your comments in. Let me know. What do you think? What are we going to have in replacement for the Affordable Care Act? So, today is December 31st, 2025. And we know midnight tonight, the Affordable Care Act expires. So, what are we going to do about it? Are we going to let our grandparents, parents, kids, spouses, friends pass away from diseases and illnesses that they cannot afford to have treated? That's the biggest question. Are we a country that is callous, careless, and we don't give a damn for anyone unless they're part of the 1%, 5% of the oligarchy? Are those the only folks we care about? Because even if you make 250,000, half a million a year, if one of your kids, your spouse, your or you or anyone in your family that you care about has a catastrophic illness, that salary often will not cover your medical costs. If you have to have a transplant, if you have to have long-term cancer treatment, you can't cover it on your own. You will need help. So, are we just saying that a certain segment of our economy is expendable? Now, I've heard the argument from folks, oh, the world's overpopulated as it is, so let the folks on the bottom die. They're not the herd. Well, to me, that's extremely irresponsible, inhumane. I don't accept it. I will not accept the fact that those that this economy relies on to float, that will let the same people drown in the economy. So, what do you say to that? Are you willing to watch grandma die, kids die, our neighbors die because Republicans refuse to back up the Affordable Care Act, to renew it? We know that when this act came into being, that most of the people that were designing this restructuring of the healthcare system in America, they wanted universal health care, but they weren't able to get it for everybody. So they came up with a compromise. That compromise was the Affordable Care Act. Didn't cover as many of the working class poor that they wanted to, but they had to at least go with something that was better than the suicidal program we had before that. I myself had to pull myself out of college at the very end of my attempt at a degree, my first attempt, because I ran into catastrophic medical bills. I couldn't pay them. I had to go running back to being an enlisted person in the military with my tail tucked between my legs right before I should have been commissioned as an officer in the Navy, as a nurse corps officer. So, yeah, I just had to pull myself out, go back in the military, and start back in again as an enlisted person instead of being a nurse corps officer. At least I was still in the hospital corps. And at least I was able to take care of all the medical problems I had after that and that my family had through the Navy medicine system. All right. Hey, I've got Tom Armstrong on here. Tom, thanks for logging on. Tom says, what most of the so-called developed countries in the world have some form of universal health care. Yes, but the US doesn't because the insurance lobby is too damn powerful. Absolutely. So, when I married, I took my family, which was my wife and my newly formed and adopted family, my stepchildren. I don't call them that, but that was just at the time. We were just a newly formed family, and we went over to Italy. We were delighted to find that in Italy, it doesn't matter how poor you are, how rich you are, they have a good healthcare system for all. And they're not even as developed, to be honest with you, frankly, and the southern part of Italy at least, they're not as highly developed as the US says it is. And yet they have a universal healthcare system for everyone. Before I was married, I had a child in Italy with an Italian. That child was born, and the cost was nowhere near what it is in America to have a child be born. Now, I find it extremely interesting. I want to know what you think, Tom, that in a nation that demands that no one be allowed access to choices when it comes to having a pregnancy go full term, we also do not have universal access to prenatal care, postnatal care, maternity care. Tom says, as the US says, it is. You're right. Yeah, the US says it is, right? The US claims a lot, but delivers damn little. Absolutely, Tom. Right? We claim to be that beacon shining on a hill. Well, now we're a beacon of what? Mierda? Complete shit? Because for all this talk of making America great, we have not. We are letting the least among us go even further down the rung. And those who are clinging desperately to that bottom rung before they fall off that ladder, we're being tossed off the ladder. We saw that with the government shutdown. They did not care about giving food stamps to 1 in 8 Americans. So you can't tell me that this is lazy people, because I know that 1 in 8 Americans are not lazy. I know that kids, that are even higher numbers, relying on those food stamps, they weren't lazy. They were just kids, regardless of their circumstances. They did not deserve to starve. Kids in the school I teach, they deserve to be fed in the morning when they come to school, and at lunch to be fed and not have anyone question them, but give them a good, solid meal so that we can make sure that they're not distracted during the school day. And I got a lot of kids that are highly distracted during the school day because they're hungry. Tom, you're right. It's a bodily autonomy thing when we talk about your choice when it comes to pregnancy, right? And it's also a bodily autonomy thing when we talk about receiving health care for anything that comes your way medically. And I'm talking medically, including mental health. I'm also including receiving some food. If you're starving, you can't be healthy if you're starving. Those run hand in hand. So what we've got to get this affordable care backed. Was listening to the news this morning. as I was getting ready for the day. And there was a man on there, middle class. He said he and his wife figured out the numbers this week, and they know that it's going to cost at least 25,000 for them to be able to pay for his wife's insulin and all the diabetes testing and monitoring and delivery products when it comes to insulin and insulin monitorization delivery. Yeah, it's going to cost them for the treatment of that diabetes 25,000 more every single year starting this year. I'm sure that's only going to go up. He's considering leaving the United States. We know that Canada, our neighbor right north of us, they provide universal health care. He knows that England does. He knows that almost every European country does. Actually, every European country that is highly developed does, and even some of the less developed, like Italy. They provide universal health care. So, yeah, thanks, Tom. He says pro-life includes feeding kids before and during school. Exactly. So, what are we going to do? And Tom, I just heard my earbuds run out. Can you let me know if you actually can hear me still? You don't mind typing there, let me know. So, what are we going to do? Are we still going to sit back and let all of the Americans that rely on this die? Are we going, thanks, Tom. Are we going to allow citizens that are middle class and they're contributors to the society, are we going to allow them now to immigrate to other countries? So all we have left is middle class is going to leave, and all we'll have left is poverty class and the oligarchy class. Is that what we want in this country? I know many people now that they're not going to be able to afford healthcare insurance at all once the subsidies are gone. And they're just going to play Russian roulette. They're going to hope that they don't get a catastrophic illness. Well, you know what? The system depends on being propped up equally with all of us being involved in the healthcare system and contributing to it, right? Our tax money is enough to do that if corporations would pay more than 1% or less, as they do right now, in taxes, and the oligarchs who pay nothing or next to nothing were required to pay vastly more than they do right now. If you make $1 million to $10 million every year, you're living off the dividends. Just $10 million alone. If that's in your investment account and your savings account and you've diversified your stock portfolio, you can live off of that easy every single day. All right, I've got Lupe on here saying, I understand how important it is to have the the Affordable Care Act. As a cancer survivor, when I was supposed to have my cancer removed, my insurance stopped. I had to request government insurance to be able to provide and to be able to survive. So, exactly, now we're going to have people having to ask to be on Medicaid, and to get on Medicaid, they're going to have to make basically zero in their income or poverty level wages in order to be on Medicaid. So we're going to have less people contributing to the workforce, or they're going to have to downgrade themselves when it comes to how much they receive in pay in order to be able to receive the health care they need. So what are we doing? We're building another slavery class. So the folks who can't afford to slip out of the country into another nation that has universal health care, they're going to have to say, okay, in order to stay here in my country, I'm going to have to become part of the poverty class. I'm going to have to leave the lower rungs of the middle class and jump into the poverty class. So I make next to nothing or nothing, and I can now be on Medicaid. But we know that the Republicans aren't going to even allow that, because now they're coming up with plans to say, oh, you have to work so much in order to receive Medicaid. So they know they're creating a system that will kill Americans. They know that right now, the way Medicaid is going to go back to being, you have to be in the poverty class to receive it. And they want that. But they also want to punish you while they've kicked you down. They want to kick you and beat you further. Is this the American dream? Or is this the American nightmare? Is it the end of the world as we know it? For many, it will be. And I'm not just catastrophizing. I'm talking absolute truth. So, are we going to allow our family and our neighbors or ourselves to die so that people with R's by their name can keep giving extreme tax breaks to the most stratospherically wealthy people in the universe? That's what this is all about. That's the only thing it's about. And are we going to give up our democracy so that Peter Thiel and Musk and all of these Silicon Valley millionaires, billionaires can keep on taking over our democracy? Tom says, I know people who had to sue to get on disability. And the whole, you had to be in poverty to collect a pittance from the government bit is spot on. Thanks. Yes. And I'm glad you mentioned that. I know so many people who have had to sue to get on disability. And I know many of them who lose their suits over and over again, even though they have catastrophic illnesses or injuries. Maybe the fifth time they win, maybe they don't. So they either die or have their life wrecked and they can't work at all because we allow them to deteriorate more and more health-wise, which takes them completely out of the workforce. So obviously, we're at a Hunger Games economic crisis. We're at a Hunger Games mentality when it comes to healthcare. This has got to be the tipping point when we realize, all right, we have been bamboozled for fucking years now by people with R by their fucking name telling us that they care for the working class. They don't give a goddamn fuck about the working class. All they care is they can pay you $7.25 an hour at the most without benefits and tell you to fuck yourself if you get sick or if you need any time off to take care of someone in your family who is sick or if you have a child. Now, there is a company, I keep on talking about it because it's my favorite one here in Kentucky. Maker's Mark make my favorite bourbon. They pay their full-time employees $30 to $34 an hour. Doesn't matter if you're a waitress at the restaurant, if you're bottling the bourbon, or if you are the person who makes my cocktails at the bar. You're going to make $30 to $34 an hour with full-time benefits and maternity leave. Now, how can millionaires there do that? It's obvious to me that they know that they're going to still provide for their kids and their kids' kids, while at the same time making sure that the folks out in this rural area where it's made, out there in Loretto, Kentucky, they know that they can take care of them and that a happy employee is going to love the business and make a perfect product all the fucking time. And I can't be more proud anytime that I sip on Maker's Mark. And no, I'm not only taking part in the best of Kentucky, I'm taking the part in the real best part of the American dream. And that is to be able to work an honest job for an honest wage and love your family by providing for them. And if Maker's Mark can do it, so many other places can do it. That's what I know. So we shouldn't have to sue to be on disability to receive medical care. We shouldn't have to quit working at a job that we either love or are just there in order to survive. We shouldn't have to quit working in order to get health care when we have the catastrophe that Lupe talked about. Cancer, surviving it, being treated the 12 years it takes with expensive meds and therapy to survive and not get cancer again after you get cancer the first time. And many people will have to take care of cancer a second time around. They shouldn't die either time. So please, America, reconsider the fucking lies that people with R by their name have been shoving down our media throats. They've been giving you this fucking lie that they care about people that work and that if you work, you will be a Republican. It's fucking bullshit. The working class are the last people that the Republicans care about. They have become only the party of hating immigrants, hating people that either don't have religion or have a different religion than mine. And they actually don't care enough about the working class to really show any love for us. They just canceled the Affordable Care Act by not voting to extend those subsidies. So we know, again, when the ACA started, it didn't go as far as the designers wanted, but they knew they had to come up with this compromise and get it into effect, which they did. Then 2021 came around. People were dying from COVID in droves, and it was obvious that we had to provide medical coverage for them. So that's when these extended subsidies came about. It increased the amount of people that could get into the Affordable Care Act and actually receive affordable health care insurance. So from 2021 to today, people have seen, oh my God, it actually is possible for the federal government to subsidize me being able to receive healthcare benefits that I need. It's not just for the elite class anymore to have quality healthcare, no matter what comes my way. It's been seen. Now, how many people are going to see that and stand for being kicked off the rolls of healthcare insurance? Once again, for us to go back to where if you have an illness that's not on the list of those that they'll treat and cover for your insurance, that they can just kick you off and tell you to fucking die. How many people now are going to stand by idly while their life is taken from them by the federal fucking government? People with R's by their name have been lying to us every single day in and out. Oh, they want to kill us. Oh, they have death panels for those that they don't want to treat. It was fucking bullshit. Now you see the death panel they have. They have a panel of folks they're willing to sacrifice to the altar of the healthcare insurance lobby. They have people that they will sacrifice on the altar of the oligarchs, the 1 to 5% richest folks in America, which are the richest folks in the universe. They're willing for you to be sacrificed so that they can keep their trillion incomes. Yes, I'm talking about Musk, Thiel, and their ilk. Will we sit idly by and allow ourselves to die in the name of this horseshit? It's up to you and it's up to me. We're either going to take our country back democratically or else. So what is the or else going to be? That's again up to us to decide together, because this is Kentucky. United we stand, divided we fall. We love our neighbors as ourselves if we actually believe the motto on our Kentucky flag. We know that we are our brother's keeper. We are our sister's keeper if we believe in that motto on our Kentucky flag. So hopefully we'll have a happy new year. Hopefully it won't be the end of the world as we know it for those people who are going to be kicked off of their Affordable Care Act. Hopefully this will be a pressing enough of an issue that they will grant us an extension of these subsidies. They'll get off their fucking ass and quit sucking on the tit of the oligarchs long enough to bring back the Affordable Care Act and to subsidize it full strength again. But I'm not counting on it. I am counting on you to vote up and down the ballot for people who actually care and who have in their platform universal health care as a human right. God bless your corazon, and may this be a better year, but only you and I can make it so.